Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to your August 17th daily briefing. The second stimulus check, Paycheck Protection Program, and unemployment are all back in the news, and we're going to talk about the latest and what we can expect next. I'd also like just to take a second just to thank each and every one of you who watches, subscribes, and interacts with my content. This channel just hit 95,000 subscribers. And I really just want to say thanks for trusting me to get you information on a daily basis. And it really does mean the world to me that all of you tune in every single day to watch this stuff. It kind of blows my mind every single day. Anyways, into the news. President Trump is getting a little bit antsy about the funding he approved for enhanced unemployment just last weekend. He approved that through one of his 4 executive orders, and it's seeming like he will be given the go-ahead with these programs despite skipping over the normal kind of congressional process here. The reason he was able to do this is because the funds he's using for unemployment are classified as emergency funds, and thus this allows for a little bit more leeway to get legislation passed in kind of a strange, unilateral manner. However, the enhanced unemployment order doesn't come without its own share of fairly large issues. The plan outlined that states would need to pay for 25% of the $400 weekly benefit. So that comes out to about $100 each week for each person on enhanced unemployment. However, some of the cash-strapped states are saying that this is simply an impossible task. California being one of those states with millions and millions of people on unemployment right now. So this would leave the weekly benefit to be only $300 in many cases, which is much lower than $600, but it is better than nothing. This order also comes with a major issue of timeliness. Because the funding is being funneled differently than before, state unemployment systems are having to be kind of reworked, and this is taking time. Some estimates show that it still may be weeks before any stimulus money is actually sent to the people. And I know last week there was a couple experts who were saying, don't expect anything in August, be happy if we received anything in September. And it seems like they're going to be dead on with that. And if there's a solution in September, I'll personally be happy that there is at least a solution for the people who absolutely need the funding, even though it's unfortunate that they don't have it right now. And then finally, experts are also saying that once funding does reach people, it'll only last about 4 or 5 weeks before the emergency fund runs dry. So we still need another solution here. It's kind of a temporary solution. It gives some relief, but there is much more needed here as well. The president is saying that he wants to get additional funding to the people as well through more stimulus checks. He said this, I don't even know how many times in the past publicly. He's saying it again. He posted a tweet as part of a series of stimulus-related tweets, which we're going to go over here. This particular tweet said, I have directed Steve Mnuchin to get ready to send direct payments, $3,400 for a family of 4 to all Americans. Democrats are holding this up. That was the tweet word by word. I did not say that. This is, of course, a great thing for anyone hoping for another stimulus check. However, there's very little context or explanation that went along with that tweet and the other stimulus-related tweets. We do know that if a family of 4 were to receive $3,400, this equates to a $1,200 check for each adult and then $500 for each child dependent in this case, which is right in line with most current proposals and expectations. However, we don't know if he wants to do this through more executive orders or through a normal avenue with a bill in Congress. My inclination here is he probably can't do in another executive order because there probably isn't another relief fund that he can tap into in order to do these other spending programs. Congress has to approve the spending, so probably has to go through Congress. However, rules have been bent in the past, so I can't say anything definitely anymore. So this also isn't the only tweet on the stimulus he sent out that morning. He also tweeted the desire to get additional paycheck protection funding for small businesses, which seems to be one of the areas that has the most consensus between Democrats and Republicans. Pretty much everyone agrees, hey, let's get more funding to small businesses. I think it's super important. Small businesses employ like half of all the people who are employed in the United States. So it's huge, and small businesses are almost all hurting right now. There are some exceptions that are doing quite well, but most are down significantly revenue and profit-wise. He also tweeted about funding for state and local governments, which is a little bit surprising to me. He tweeted about rental assistance, which was kind of addressed in one of his executive orders, but Not really. It was more like, hey, take a look at this, but there wasn't really any solutions actually made in the executive order. It was kind of like a search for a solution. And he also tweeted about providing $105 billion in funding for schools as they are reopening very soon. Each tweet, again, ended with a blame towards Democrats for slowing the process. However, I don't necessarily believe anything is all one side or the other's fault on this. Both parties have been stubborn through this entire process, and I just don't think history is going to be on either party's side with this. I don't really like the pointing blame at one side or the other when you can find issues on both sides. No one is innocent here. The hope with this tweet storm is that it helps align both sides just a little bit more for the sake of the people. It's such a strange situation we're in right now. Democrats and Republicans, their negotiators, both believe that Americans need more relief. However, the total relief size is holding everyone up. There's no reason why we can't pass the dollar amount that is necessary right now, and if more funding is needed later, vote in more funding later. And just help the people who can't even pay rent right now. There's a large proportion of people who can't pay their rent and mortgage right now. There's so much need right now. So it's like, address right now, worry about your politics later, worry about getting more funding in later. Here's what I think the concern on the Democratic side is by voting in only what is necessary right now. I think they are worried because of the Republican wait and see tactic we saw the last few months. They think if a massive package isn't passed right now, there will be no additional funding in the future, which may pan out to be true. You have to admit it's possible. However, wouldn't you think that someone would budge just for the sake of the people anyways? Just get something passed for the sake of the people? Moving on from here. Moving on to where we actually are seeing some action. In the House, they actually called off their recess to come back to Washington and address the issue of the post office. So a few days ago, the Postal Service warned that it would have a hard time delivering all the ballots for mail-in voting to election offices come November, and voting and mail-in voting and all sorts of politics and chaos there that I don't necessarily want to cover because I don't want to get too political. This message from the post office came after a few weeks of President Trump voicing concerns about the reliability of mail-in voting and his refusal to give the post office additional funding as it runs into some major budget issues. Trump changed his mind on the second of those two issues when saying he would actually sign legislation giving emergency funding to the Postal Service if Democrats agreed to make concessions on other issues in the next relief package. So there are some concessions being made. Hopefully we'll see some kind of solution there. The House is expected to vote on the Delivering for America Act, which would prohibit the Postal Service from making any changes to operations or its level of service that it had back on January 1st of this year. Basically, they're saying don't make any changes during the pandemic. After the pandemic, then we can kind of reevaluate and see what exactly needs to be done, but we need the Postal Service to stay as it is for now. There are hopes that along with this vote on the Postal Service will come a vote for some kind of emergency stimulus relief as well. This is a little bit of a long shot, but it could potentially be a great political move for Democrats and the House. The House will vote on that post office bill and likely pass it, but the Senate will still need to vote on it, and they aren't looking like they're likely to come back from recess just to vote on this bill. However, if the House also voted and passed some kind of stimulus bill, and it had somewhat favorable terms for both sides, this would likely cause the Senate to come back and vote because we know that they want relief. They just want something smaller, something more reasonable in their definition of the word. If I were a decision maker in the House, I would try to combine a post office solution with stimulus relief, make a few concessions on my red line items, and try to pass something that helps both sides out and help the people ultimately. With the amount of pressure on decision makers right now to find a solution, it would definitely be a good move to the public eye to actually take some much needed action. So this is something to think about. This is all we have for today. Check out the link in my description for Webull. If you sign up and deposit $100 in your account, you'll receive 2 completely free stocks and you'll be helping out this channel along the way. And until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching and I hope you have a profitable day.